everyone. This is Phil Wingo from Sandhill Coffee. Got another person here on the line to talk about some awesome outdoor opportunities here in the DuPage County area. We have Dan, actually the president of the DuPage Forest Preserve. So Dan, thank you very much for your time. And if you could introduce yourself and give a quick little background about you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Phil. I am Daniel Hebreard, president of the Forest Preserve District of DuPage County. I was born and raised here in DuPage. I've actually got a degree in Parks and Recreation Management from the University of Illinois. In addition, I have a master's in Business Administration from Benedictine University. And kind of unique, I actually worked here for many years. I was a park ranger from 2005 until when I was sworn in 2018. And now I've been doing the presidential job for the last couple of years. And I'll tell you a little bit about the forest preserves. Am I jumping the gun on the question, Phil?
No, not at all. Took my next question out of my mouth, so go right ahead.
We have 60 forest preserves. They cover 26,000 acres almost. That's almost about, like I said, 1/8 of the whole county. So we have been a tremendous resource and very, very busy. For these past 6 months, we were blessed and able to stay open during the whole pandemic. So we have seen our numbers, which are typically 4 million visits a year. You heard that correct, 4 million visits a year. We're probably going to hit 7 or 8 million, we think, this year in between all of our forest preserve users. So we're very proud of that. We're very happy that we're here as a resource for the community in these difficult times when people need to manage stress and really get outside and get some exercise.
Oh, definitely. And with all the opportunities there are, I mean, it's a great way for people to get outside and avoid other people.
Yes. I mean, obviously outside is safer. We've got, dozens of fishing lakes. We've got 166 miles of trail. And that also adds up actually to over 200 if you figure in the county trails, which are the Great Western and the Prairie Path. So we really have some great opportunities to get outside and just walk around picnic areas. And dog areas, we have 7 off-leash dog areas. So we have just seen a tremendous uptick in usage, and we're very happy for that.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, since you mentioned you started a handful of years ago, have you seen any of the forest preserve areas grow?
Yes.
Like acquire new land or?
Absolutely. So one of our missions obviously is to acquire lands, to preserve them, and to make sure that they're ecologically quality habitat. So we absolutely have bought a lot of lands in the last 15 years. Oldfield Oaks is a forest preserve that really just opened when I was starting, and we've added to that a little bit. Certainly each preserve where we can add to that. And so we're very proud of that, to be able to give people more connections too, because we add a lot of trails then. So where we can add land, we typically try to put a trail in it, see if we can connect it to a regional trail. So all those areas that we welcome people out to, we're getting close to capacity, meaning we certainly want to leave some stuff for the flora and fauna and quality, but we really do have still some opportunities to connect trails.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's awesome. As far as you're mentioning like trails and things like that, is there a certain number, I hope I'm asking this correctly, is there a certain number that's like dedicated to space that cannot be touched? Just whether
that's a great question. When I first started, we did have a designated number, and that was about 90% that we really wanted to restrict for flora and fauna only. I think we're probably past that number, which is why I said we've changed a little bit and we might be hitting capacity. I want to say maybe we're closer to 85%. That would be mowed areas, parking lots, shelters, the dog areas I mentioned, areas like we do have some facilities. Of course, we have 6 education sites. So those types of areas account for that 10 to 15%, and trails are part of that, although trails, of course, have a smaller footprint through these areas. And so we really, I think, believe that at some point, that 85-15, where we leave 85% for the flora and fauna to flourish and people to come out and enjoy, because really most of these areas are open. We just don't then maintain them for people to come out. But you can absolutely walk through a prairie or a woodland, and nothing's going to stop you.
That's really cool. So you just mentioned about the education sites. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Absolutely. So we have a couple horse facilities actually at the Nada Horse Farm and its partner St. James Farm. So those are right here actually in Wheaton, where my headquarters is. And so those are great places to come out and see the horses right now. We're only keeping horses at the Nada. We have a new foal, and so that's pretty exciting. Duke is doing well, and We brought a lot of excitement to the horses. And so, no, we've been doing that ever since Dan and Ada Rice passed on, and the legacies lived on. They are very philanthropic heroes of DuPage County, given to a lot of museums in Chicago and universities in the area. So those are the two horse farms we have. Then we have Willowbrook Wildlife Center, which is really a crown jewel of our sites. We rescue 9,000 animals a year and try to rehabilitate them because they've been separated from family or in some way injured. And so that's a fantastic place, and we're working really hard to make sure that is up to par. We're actually, hopefully, it's in our master plan to build a new animal care building that'll give us some new technology to help the animals. We also have Fullersburg Woods, which is the CCC Nature Center in Oak Brook area, and that is a fantastic place to bring out the school buses and the kids, and it's a partner with Growy Mill there on site. And we have Klein Creek Farm, which is an 1890s working farm, and that is got live animals. We have some actually historical live animals. What does that mean? Well, animals that wouldn't traditionally be on a farm these days, but you would have found back 110, 30 years ago. And so that is a really great place to bring everybody out. It is still open right now, even during the pandemic, because a lot of the activities are outside.
Oh, nice.
So we're very lucky with that. And then the final one is Maze Lake. So the Peabody Estate, where we have our first folio partnership and really do some cultural and historical mixed in with nature. So we brought the outdoors in for some of our senior communities, and so a fantastic place to visit. We hope to open that one back up with Fullersburg soon. Unfortunately, being the size there and during the pandemic, we have closed those down. But the other sites are all open. So you can come out and visit those other four now. And of course, the reserves surrounding those indoor facilities at Maze Lake and Fullersburg Woods are open. So.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, a ton of really cool stuff. So one of the things you mentioned was the Animal Care Center. It was last summer. Yeah, when my family and we all went there, and we saw the Sandhill crane that was rehabilitated in the pen in the way back along the trail.
Yes.
That was really cool to see.
Yes, and that's it. So we have some few animals that haven't been able to be released because they couldn't hunt, they couldn't survive on their own, and so we're able to keep them there to showcase and to help educate people about why it's important to take care of wildlife and what to do, what not to do. Of course, we don't ever want to feed wildlife. They're supposed to be able to feed on their own, so we don't want to give them any food. And then, yeah, absolutely, we hope to be able to, again, rescue as many young and any injured animals. And one of the big things we're doing is we've partnered with some of the bird community, and we've taken a lot of birds and absolutely try to rehabilitate them and release them. Because, of course, bird glass collision is a concern in Chicagoland. Mm-hmm. And so we've been able to release quite a few and been a real big success story for us.
Now, if the unfortunate thing does happen where someone does find the animal, is there information on the Forest Preserve website?
Absolutely. If you just go to DuPageForest.org, and then you can go to Willowbrook's page and you'll be able to find that information. You can always give us a call. There are times we're full of a certain species, but you can absolutely give us a call and give you an answer on that. And a lot of times, like you said, it'll even be on the website.
Oh, cool. Nice. So I'll make sure to put a note on that, drop the website hint.
Thank you. Absolutely. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Another thing you mentioned about the farm, how you will be able to, if we go visit the farm, we'll be able to find animals that were normally found on farms over 100 years ago. What are those animals?
So you absolutely will park at the main lot at Klein Creek. We've got a little visitor center, but then you're going to bypass that and go down the trail past Wanda's Honey House, which is a fantastic little monument there with got some honeybees actually in there doing okay. And you'll get down to the farm and we've got sheep and cattle and chickens, and I believe it's some of the cows. We've got some horses that might be of that historic species, and I believe again some of the sheep. So amongst some of the other animals you'll find out there, again, some that you wouldn't find on a traditional farm these days. We're all used to the same kind of milk and the same kind of meat and the same kind of, everything. And so we've got a very monoculture. And back in the day, of course, they might have had different cows for different purposes working, but then also for different milk or for different meat. So we're glad to keep that tradition alive and really a nice representation of that era. And part of a bigger forest reserve at Timber Ridge that it is huge and really a high quality area, but we've set aside this area to educate people and get people involved. And we have a huge volunteer corps, of course, supporting us at all these education sites. And we've been able to welcome back some, and we're hopeful in the spring to open back up and welcome everybody back, hopefully, if we pass this.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool. So this, I mean, that's the information that you can find at some of these sites would be amazing, just to learn about all those animals and what's going on at that specific site. So that's really cool.
Yes, yeah, exactly. If you go to Clay Creek Farm, you'll be able to kind of get some pictures and some hints, and then really it's not the same as coming out there. So you got to get out there and visit us and see what it's all about with you and your family. And no, like I said, we've had tremendous success and people coming out still because again, it's outdoors, and so it's a lot safer. And so we do have our staff out there directing and helping people and answering questions. And there'll be a reenactment, so they actually are in costume and kind of acting like it's 1890s. And so it's a really neat thing. The community loves it, and so welcome out. Hopefully soon here at Klein Creek Farm. As the nice days might be dwindling a little bit, we will stay open. So you come on out and bundle up and come visit us, because we're open 365 at the Forest Preserve, and most of our education sites are open about 355, 360 days.
Oh, nice. Oh, I'll have to add that to the list then.
Absolutely. Our police and rangers are working 365, but we do give on some of the big holidays our education
staff. They get a little break.
Absolutely.
No, I think it's cool how it's so diverse what it's here in DuPage County. I mean, there's a forest preserve not too far away from me that's probably a half-mile loop just in the woods. And there's that all the way to these learning centers. So I think when trying to plan things, is there, like, from your point of view, is there always are you trying to find something that you're missing to say, oh, okay, we need some more of bike trails, we need some more of wooded trails? I guess, how does, in a minute or two, how does the planning go for the overall?
No, absolutely. Well, that's a great question. So we certainly want to look at all the opportunities. We as you mentioned earlier, we try to look at opportunities to purchase land. For those of you familiar with DuPage County, we're fairly built out, so there isn't large parcels, but we can still add on a lot of times to what we own with parcels that might contact or be in conjunction with the areas that we already have purchased to build onto those. So we're lucky enough to have a master plan for the next 5 years. We went out and did a strategic planning and asked the residents what you want to see from us, because that's the most important stakeholders here. And what they really want to see is they do want to see connecting trails. They want to see us take care of what we have, and they want to see us put the money back into natural resources and restore these areas. And so those three key components really guide us moving forward and what we are looking to do, Phil. And so the master plan actually has 32 projects. 11 of them are natural resource-based improvements areas. That doesn't mean we're only doing 11. It means that those natural resource-based projects are in our master plan, but we're finishing up a project right now. We're remeandering a river at Blackwell Forest Reserve at Spring Creek. And it's fantastic. And the crew did an awesome job out there, and it's going to be dynamite. And we really took a low quality area and made it a high quality area. We had done the same thing at St. James Farm, done it very well, but we learned a couple things, and then we think Blackwell is going to end up even being better. So those types of projects include, besides the natural resources, taking care of what we have, bridges that are failing, other items like roofing. That's not very exciting, but it needs to be done. And it's an important thing to make sure people can be out and be out safely. And then the final component, some of the bigger, expenditure projects. Like I mentioned, Willowbrook, we would love to see a larger animal care area for our staff and volunteers to be in safely, and then really be able to take care of that large load of animals. I mean, that's a huge amount of animals. If you think about it, 8,000 to 9,000 animals in a given year coming through our doors. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's a big project. And so those types of big projects, or like Maze Lake, where we really have to take care of the exterior because there's been some failings, including the parking lot, including the roof, and just the envelope of the building, that are very expensive. And so those types of things are what guiding us to, getting the feedback from the residents, putting together a master plan. And that really gives us a blueprint for the next few years of what we're looking to accomplish. But again, we still do our everyday stuff all the time out there. And yeah, we still have land acquisition as a priority when it's a good fit for the Forest Preserve. And we look at each individual purchase separately and its merits and costs. So those are the things that are going to keep us busy for the next few years, and that really drive the Forest Preserve right now, that master plan.
So it's really cool to hear about the grander schedule and grander plan that's out there. When working with when working to look for like new land or rehabilitate land that's already they already have is under the forest preserve, is there kind of any data that is kept regarding like species? So like let's say you do a survey and find that, or like you mentioned, Blackwell
Mhm.
Creek there. So was there like data kept or taken beforehand? Like, okay, here's the current status. There's X amount of species. We're going to restructure it, kind of make the habitat better for everything in the stream, around the stream. 2 years later, wow, look what's grown. Now there's this many different species of fish, birds we've caught here, and things like that.
Those types of inventories on fish, other animals, absolutely the bugs, the birds, so any of those things are very important to really let us know how we're doing. And so we absolutely do those inventories before and after on our projects where we do restorations. We try to increase mussel populations, fish populations, the macroinvertebrates, the bugs, and all those things. Yes, and even plants. So we're going in there and just doing a woodland. We might look at why would we do this woodland first? Well, it's got some oaks, but they're getting choked out by some invasive species. So when we go in there, we can count and see how many quality oaks we have and make sure that we have a next generation of oaks coming in. And that's why we want to restore it, to make sure that this is the last generation they get choked out. So we do inventories of that all the time, whether it be, like I said, a tree or a plant, all the way down to the smallest bug you can find. So and that really does help us measure and give us some real data on how we're doing. And good news, our crews are doing an awesome job. We have, well over, a few hundred years experience on our natural resources crews. And of course, we partner with some great agencies in the area in our contracts. And no, we're very proud of the restoration work we do. And it's one of our main focuses, for sure.
Oh, it's really cool to hear. Is there any projects that come to mind as like a great success story?
Certainly, and it's funny because it's a golf course, and so you wouldn't jump to that one necessarily first,
Yeah.
but it comes to mind because we still have work going on up there. But why I say it's a great success story is we took what was 27 holes of golf, and we made it 18 holes of golf, and we took 170 million gallons of flood capacity, and we made it 190. So there's a lot of numbers. Let me just put it this way. We added 20 million gallons of flood capacity by taking out and restoring a river. We restored the Salt Creek to that mile corridor. We restored the golf course. So it's now what we call a golf preserve, where we have natural plants throughout in a lot of the areas of rough. So that instead of having to water those areas and maintain those areas, those are all natural native plants. You don't need to do anything. No watering, no nothing. That's the best part. And obviously we have a heck of a golf course up there at the Preserve at Oak Meadows. And one of the things we were looking to do was replace our clubhouse that burned down a decade ago. When we looked at that project, we added solar. So now we have the first, we think in the area, first 100% solar powered golf carts, which is pretty cool. And yeah, we're going to be opening up the clubhouse in the spring, welcoming in the public, because that's really going to be a public building. It's not just for the golfers, it's for families, it's for anybody who wants to come out and have a soda or burger, and you're going to have a beautiful view of a revamped golf course, which we won 4 awards for the revamp of that golf course. And I think a lot of it is the ecological restoration. I think that's a big reason that we got a lot of those kudos.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
What was the river like before?
So it's very channelized. It was very much silty. It was, low quality in terms of, fish. They had a small low head dam in there. We had very few macroinvertebrate species. We recreated much better habitat, which is not easy. We actually had to move the river for the year. So that's a very difficult task in and of itself, especially when that floods so often like the Salt Creek. But yeah, it has got some great root balls and riffles and a lot of rocks and boulders, and it's now very navigable, which sounds funny with boats, when I say boulders and rocks, but absolutely navigable for enjoyment through a kayak or canoe. It's absolutely got a way better fish population and macroinvertebrate population, excuse me. So those are the things that we do really well. And we just happen to partner with a great agency to help redesign that golf course. And it was flooded. It was flooded an awful lot. And now we've put those acres into areas that we want the water to go to.
Mhm.
And so we're very happy, like I said, for the community to take in 20 million more gallons of flood capacity is awesome in
Yeah.
an area that's been hit hard in our community. But then also be able to still get out there and play a dry course. When we had wetness this past May, we only closed for a couple days and no long-term damage.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's really well done.
Oh, definitely. It sounds like it. What was the name of that preserve golf course?
So that's the preserve at Oak Meadows.
Oak Meadows. Okay.
And yeah, like I said, we refer to it as a golf preserve now because it's got a lot of nature in there.
Oh, that's awesome. Regarding stream restoration, is it kind of like the saying from the movie, if you build it, they will come? So like if you like restructure the stream, that's kind of when all the wildlife just
It absolutely helps. I mean, we've done this at Warrenville Grove where we took out a dam and remeandered that, and did a lot of work on the West Branch. We've done it at Churchill Woods where we took out a dam and we really plugged it beautifully with so many wetland plants. It looks gorgeous out there now, and we've got just so much higher quality numbers. And again, I mentioned Spring Creek at both Blackwell that's going on currently in St. James Farm, where we had some rusty patch bumblebee, which is an endangered species that we created habitat for, which is like a huge, badge of honor and really a cool thing that we're proud of. So no, I mean, that's one of the big things that we do is really water quality. And that's something everybody agrees on. That's the cool thing is everybody wants to see these places thrive, and the water be really healthy quality for our fishermen, for your kids just to come out and enjoy, and really, again, around the surrounding habitat that we create. That's the long term. That's the part that takes a little bit of an investment, is making sure that these plugs come in. And no, I haven't heard one complaint in terms of these places being recreated to a real natural beauty, pre-civilization, pre-industrialization.
right. Well, that's cool. That's good news then. No.
Yes.
So
We do that well.
right. You mentioned a couple times in that answer about moving little dams. How much of effect does dam removal have? Because I know, so I fish, and it's a kind of a hot topic in certain areas is dam removal on certain rivers. So I guess from your point of view and work that you've done within this county, how much of a difference does that dam removal make?
Well, I mean, and again, it affects it everywhere because as a fisherman, the fishing's different above dam to below dam, right? And you're going to find different things and different quality and different things. So is it like one linear thing to say about fishing? No, because that's going to change, but it's going to be, I think, better experience. And again, where we did it, at Oak Meadows, you're talking about a whole mile. That's a much better area for everything to thrive, including those fish. So those low head dams are really kind of low hanging fruit because there's not of much value or usage to them, but there is an effect on the water quality and obviously the ability of certain species to get up or down river. We're actually looking at a large project right now, which was just in the Tribune and some other news sources, which is removing the dam at Fullersburg Woods Growing Mill area and remeandering that river. That is not a low head, that's a major dam. And so we think we're going to get major benefits from it based on our other experiences with all the work we're doing with all the rivers. And so it's an exciting project. It was a little bit of a hard fight. We had a lot of people concerned with the history. We think we're valuing the history immensely. We put a lot of money into the Growy Mill base and structure to make sure it's stabilized. We're going to make sure the water wheel spins. And so we still think we're going to get a lot of people out there for their different festivals and activities to come see the mill. But now the river is going to be navigable by kayak canoe. You wouldn't have to obviously portage out right there. You're going to have a lot less silt. You're going to have those high quality plants and plugs that I mentioned. And then again, you're going to see 16 species of fish, be able to get upriver, which is huge. And so that mile long stretch of river, and obviously the fish species even farther up are low quality, but you're going to see 16 more have a capacity to get upriver, which is fantastic. But then again, we're going to bring back those bugs. We're going to bring back those macroinvertebrates. And so I'm excited for that project because I think, again, with all the experience we have in the last decade to 15 years of doing this river remeandering and conversion to more natural state, we've had so much great success. And I think that one's going to be a huge success for us.
Oh, yeah, definitely. If someone wanted to look up status of this project or, once it's done, more information about it, just on your website, or is there a good source somewhere?
Absolutely, absolutely. We just talked about it and voted on it last week. We talked about it a few weeks ago at length with opposing sides to make sure everybody had their voices heard, which we certainly took into consideration. And so we will have status updates. We're actually partnering with the DuPage River Salt Creek Work Group. Have you heard of them, Phil?
I have. Yep.
Okay, see, you're well informed. So that's every municipal agency throughout the county, and so that group is actually going to spearhead, and they're the ones who asked for the license. So the money's going to come from that group to help do this project, and we're excited. It'll probably be about a year of design and permitting before we get started. So we're looking at next fall, winter to get started at that, and we'll definitely keep the public informed on that, where the status is. And then, yeah, we're going to have more areas for people to get in there and fish a little bit easier. We're going to have areas where, again, we can put your kayak or canoe in, and some informational signs about what the dam was and why it was there. And again, I think informing why we took it out to make sure that people know how damaging they can be to the environment and water quality, and fish. So and make sure people understand the narrative that this wasn't done for no reason. There was a really valid reason and environmental quality aspect of this project.
Yeah, I think it's good to give information about like the thing as a whole, like how beneficial this is, from things you can't see to
right
easy changes to see, like river changing path.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So people have a hard time understanding something that's a little bit harder to see, and so I think when we give that information, that'll help them understand a little better. But then they will be able to see again, well, those beautiful wetland plants, and I think they're going to really see them thrive out there. I'm anticipating a beautiful area to highlight the Grouty Mill and Grouty House and that historic corridor.
Well, I'll have to add to the list of places to go check out then.
Oh, you should. You can go now and check it out, because like I said, it's not going to get started for another year. And then, yeah, we'll be working on that thereafter. And we've got, probably about 3 or 5 years before we get probably fully up to speed in terms of, fully restored. But we really think in that second year after restoration that we see a lot of progress.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of like, so when you, for a restoration project, you think it usually is like 2 or 3 years before you really start seeing some, I guess, whether it be, changes from the animals that are there, flowers that are popping up?
Yeah, I think you'll see the fish right away, because that removal of the dam and obviously the elevation, kind of leveling is going to help them, get upstream right away. But yeah, between really the plugging and what the concern is those first years you're plugging, immature plants. And so you're going to lose some, with flooding and with opportunity to get, washed away potentially. And so once they get the roots in and they become more mature, you're going to see a lot less loss. And of course, part of that contract is to replace any loss over those first few years with new plants. So that's why we feel like, okay, if you will hold on more every year, and then they'll become more mature and they'll help bring back those bugs and that, like you said, quality environment and nature that we want to see in that area. That ecosystem will be fully restored. Like I said, about 4 to 5 years, but kind of the second year, I feel like is really a good time to see kind of the turn or the change. And then by the third or fourth, you're seeing it really mature. And then hopefully we could sign off after that. And yeah, you're not out there monitoring as much in terms of making sure that things are going to really be long-term okay.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll have to pay attention to that then. Check it out.
It'd be a great place to go to. Very high, visuals. You've got a bridge view from York Road, and then you can walk right down to it, of course. And so no, we're anticipating really good project there.
That's cool. So switch gears a little bit with, woke up this morning and it was 40 degrees out. Winter not too far away. Is there opportunities for like, snowshoeing, anything like winter stuff?
Absolutely. Yes. We'll be renting some skis out, hopefully, Donato or Blackwell. So keep an eye on our website. We've done both in the past, or one or the other. We've also done Fullersburg, but I know we have, like I said, some diminished capacity there because that building is closed, but that may be something we still look to do because it's an outdoor opportunity. So yes, we have rented those. We still rented snow tubes in the past. Again, I think we can try to do that again. I can't guarantee it, but keep an eye on our website. But those are opportunities. Yeah, we still want to get people outside, and don't be surprised here in the next month to 8 weeks, we'll see some smoke because I think we'll have some burn season here coming up. As you mentioned, as soon as we start getting some hard freezes and the plants go into hibernation, we're able to get some good burns in, and that's the most powerful tool we have, really, to restore our dry areas, our woodlands and our prairies. A lot of times we'll wait on the prairies till spring because we don't like to leave it torched earth all winter, but our woodlands will be a great source of opportunity for us over the next month or two to get a good prescribed fire in.
Oh, cool. Okay, so then a couple kids here. I'm sure other people that are going to listen to this have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Sledding hill.
I'm sorry?
What is there a good sledding hill?
Oh, a good sledding hill. Yes. Well, so Blackwell's the one where we have our tube. We certainly have a lot of it. Yeah, we certainly have a lot of activity at Meacham Grove. And so that's a great one up north. So those are probably our two busiest, one because we rent the tubes, another one because it's just the perfect sledding hill. But yeah, there's some smaller opportunities. I think you'll see pockets and neighborhoods that people come out to preserve and enjoy. Those are my two favorites, at least.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I just random, but I had to when you were saying that, I had to think of that. I had to ask that.
Well, no, and I mean, there's ice fishing, and as you mentioned, with Namo rental, hopefully we'll have those opportunities. And again, the snowshoeing has taken off the last couple of years and been a pretty nice thing for our residents to be able to enjoy.
Oh, nice.
And you can always bring out your own skis. We do groom the trails, and we groom them at some of our biggest preserves like Blackwell and Waterfall Glen and Green Valley and Herrick, so that you come out and the skis are going to go a little easier on a tenderized trail.
Oh, definitely.
Back to that snow. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So before we were chatting earlier, I had a chance to look over the website and I saw that you guys are doing a handful of virtual things.
Mm-hmm.
How have you adapted to this pandemic?
Right. So that's a big question. Absolutely. So like I said, we were very proud to stay open in the beginning. We obviously had some no-touch experiences where we had to close buildings, of course, but we kept our 60 preserves open and our areas so that people could get out in trails. So that was the biggest thing, is we wanted to make sure people were able to get outside into nature, into our areas. Everyone's an owner here. They're public areas. Mm-hmm. And then obviously with staff, we have 280 plus full-time employees. So we've been keeping them safe so that they can help keep the public safe. So certain jobs we're able to do remotely, or at least a hybrid remote in the office, so that we're keeping our staff safe. And of course, new protocols to keep our police and rangers and grounds safe, and all those outdoor workers who are taking care of the areas and taking care of the public. So those are some of the major things. Some of the opportunities with like I said, the education, we did reopen up, so you can come out and see the horses. Can't get into the barn right now, but you can go out to the fence where all the horses are grazing. Certainly, we talked about the animals up at Klein Creek Farm. We do accept the animals at Willowbrook. So these core areas where people do need to get into and take care of these animals and bring animals if they're injured, again, have stayed open the whole time. And then, we've augmented our current offerings, which, we had to slim down, of course, to like pretty much hikes and some other, light outdoor activities, to now do some virtual activities. So our meetings have gone virtual. Some of our education opportunities have gone virtual. And really, we found like that just augmented all the different things we're able to do outside.
Oh, it's very cool. And are there opportunities for kids, people of all ages, as far as classes or things?
Yeah, no, if you look at our website, you contact our education. We've done things where we can, come to the classroom because they're virtual classroom. We can certainly Zoom in and talk about our opportunities or our animals. And some of the most popular things when we would come to a classroom would be to bring animals from Willowbrook, and our education staff to bring an owl or bring a hawk or both, and come give that kid an experience. But even seeing it close up on someone's arm is a pretty cool thing. We can talk about the opportunity, why we're doing, this rescue work and why it's so important to help the species, because we've seen such a reduction in the, aviary species, unfortunately, of the last few decades, that we want to make sure we do our part to help restore those populations. And that starts from a small bird up to the biggest birds.
Nice. No, just tangenting from that, is that you think the loss of population, is that you think just due to, I guess, what factors? Injuries? Is it just food that they have available?
Well, I think it's a myriad of factors. I wish I had an answer, a perfect answer. I would say, like anything that we're finding with climate change and extreme weather, it's a lot of human factors, for sure. Certainly, collisions are going to be a factor. Food's going to be a factor. Lack of natural areas and habitat is a factor. So I don't think there is one silver bullet. I think there is a lot of different answers. And I think that the solution is, certainly American energy independence. If we can go to wind and solar. I read recently that just painting one blade black on the windmills reduces any bird collisions by, I think it was 95%. It was some very large number. So as we transition to keep our habitats higher quality, as we transition to more green and renewable energies, we just got to remember that's the whole point of restoring habitats, is to make sure that the food sources are there in the habitats and the areas, the ecosystem for them to live in is there. And I mean, people focused on something like the butterfly because it's so visual, or the bee because we realize how important that is to our food. But birds are right up there along with them, as struggling, and certainly there's a myriad of factors, and there's a myriad of solutions to keep pushing towards.
Nice. And it's good to see that the Forest Preserve is constantly working at that. So thank you.
We are. And I will say one of the things that goes little notice, I mean, I mentioned the project for the solar panels at the Preservative Meadows, where we did the golf cart storage barn. We just did a large solar project that should be online here any day at Willowbrook Wildlife Center. So that's exciting. Our fleet has won many awards. We just got number 2 fleet in the nation, which is not something you necessarily think of for the Forest Preserve, but we've had leadership that's made a commitment to go green. And so we're actually a leader in alternative fuels, liquid propane, compressed natural gas. We use biodiesel, and people really are missing the boat on biodiesel.
Oh, nice.
Great homegrown stories. Do you know much? Can I bore you about a little biodiesel story, Phil?
No, go for it.
So we're very lucky. We're very lucky in Illinois here. We've got a great, system of farmers in Illinois throughout much of it. And one of the ways we can help support farmers is by supporting biodiesel. Biodiesel is made from natural plants, actually. It's made sometimes from corn, but a lot more times it's made from the renewable part, the waste product, okay? So the soybeans here in Illinois, we can actually still farm and use all the soybeans, and the waste product can become biodiesel. How cool is that? So we're taking a waste product, and we're actually making a biodiesel, which I don't want to get the numbers wrong, but it burns 75% cleaner than regular diesel.
Wow.
So it's incredible. And so there's really no downside. You're using a waste byproduct that's here locally and, around the United States, not just about Illinois. You're making something that's much more eco-friendly, and you're able to utilize that in anything. Because that was the other thing that scared some people off, was that, well, wait, what about if my tractor's old or my car's old? Biodiesel works in any diesel. We found, at least. We've never had a problem with it ruining an engine or having any major issues clogging up pipes or anything, because it's actually cleaner. So it actually works in our 1976 John Deere tractor. Really? My fleet manager. And so that is pretty cool. I think that's a really neat story to say this is a huge success story. We've been doing it for 20 years, and we want to make sure we keep supporting our farmers and our local environmental opportunities, because we don't have every opportunity. Every part of the country can do different things. So when we can go solar, and we've got some big wind farms in central Illinois, and then we would support our farmers with this soybean byproduct and give them a little extra incentive. We do the soybeans. So our fleet is a fantastic success story that, again, it's not something everybody associates with the Forest Preserve,
but I mean, that's very cool how reusable everything is. So like for the soybean farms and like what you were saying, so farmers, I should say, sorry. Could the biodiesel that you use, could that be tracked almost like, hey, we know this diesel is coming from the soybeans from Illinois, Iowa?
Yes, absolutely. Because there's some factories in Illinois, that's what they do, is that they obviously process that waste into biodiesel. And so, no, it's a huge part of economic success for Illinois, and I think for the Illinois farmers. And again, we're really proud to be a part of that success. I think we got involved in 2002, so 18 years now. And no, we're trying to help educate others, other fleets. We have it available as partner agencies actually use our fill-up stations for our alternative fuels and for our biodiesel. And no, we want to be that leader to say this is something that's possible. This is something that is really the easiest thing to switch to. You're like, oh, we already have diesel pumps. Oh, you don't have to do anything. You can just put biodiesel right in the same pumps. again, in the same vehicles, and all you're doing is helping the environment and helping out, like I said, local businesses, so local farmers.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, you just mentioned this too. I mean, a good success story is that is you're able to put it in your old the 1976, I think you said.
That's what I remember. I hope I don't get the year wrong, but yeah, it's an old tractor. And
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
really
think it
cool.
speaks to it working in anything. And certainly, yeah, we now have fire trucks, to my understanding, that are getting fueled up on biodiesel. And
Oh,
that's
that's
a great
cool.
success story because of our partnerships with other
Right.
agencies in the area and them able to use our new fleet building and refueling station. And so, no, we're very proud of that. We're very excited to, help others realize those gains and those real nature gains or environmental gains, if we want to call them that.
Yeah.
That is something that we have been long invested in. And I'm proud of it. We just got a couple, our first all electric vehicles and our first charging station, and that was
Oh,
last year.
nice.
So we just keep pushing everything we can to try to
Yeah.
make sure that people see us as the environmental leaders and then come to us and try to partner with us or learn from us. And, these are available at municipalities and fire departments and police stations to do more economical and really eco-friendly solutions.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, from farmers market, the big thing is local farmers. You're buying your products locally. So to hear that about the soybeans and knowing that it's from Illinois, um, Forest Preserve in Illinois is using that. It's cool to see the whole circle.
Yeah, and that's it. Really, and that's what it comes down to is we're all supporting each other. And if the win is the environment in the end, that's a great win. And really, there is some economic gains, and that's the exciting part too. Is when as an environmentalist conservationist, sometimes you don't see the economics matching up with those causes, and when you do, it's exciting because you want to get everybody involved. And I think that's why it's great to go solar. And I keep talking about I didn't mention this earlier, but we have solar powered home, 100%. We bought that
Oh, cool.
3 years ago, and we just got our second plug-in hybrid car. So we're big investors in some things that we think are really economically viable, but certainly great for the environment, great for nature, and
Mhm.
great to lead the way in that as an agency, and try to do it in my personal life.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, it's very cool how everything can just be connected and supporting locally.
Hmm.
I got two more questions for you.
All right.
Um, just random information that you want to share to people about Forest Preserve. What would it be?
Boy, I don't know. I talked about a lot of good stuff here. Random information. I would say if you look at a map, I think you'd be impressed by about how many options you have within a 15-minute drive. So if
Mm,
you look at a map of the county and you look at where you live, I want you to come visit at least 5 preserves. We've got, 2.5 months left in the year, and we're open all the weather. So come out for 20 minutes and do a quick, half mile, as you mentioned, or come out for an hour on a day that's a little bit nicer. You bundle up enough, and you can do, 2.5 mile hike. So I think those are the opportunities that I think sometimes people miss. Is that it's not always easy to point where they're at or remember them, but if you look at our website and you look at a map, you're going to be impressed by, wow, that's not far. And on a weekend with, and really with traffic right now, I mean, some of these, everything is half hour away or less.
right. And like you just said, you'll be amazed at how things are that are close to you. You could be driving down the road and you just see a patch of woods, but you don't know that's a forest preserve.
Right. And that's exactly it.
Across
And
a couple that way.
I've mentioned, and I know people who live out, and in the southeast part of the county, and I've mentioned Oldfield Oaks, and everything in the southeast part of the county is waterfall glen, waterfall glen, waterfall glen. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, if you've been to Oldfield Oaks, it's quieter. If you just want to go and you got younger kids, or you're just doing a walk instead of a bike ride, it's got a beautiful, like nearly 2 mile trail, and it's 110 acres, real high quality. It's got a dog park. A lot of people are like, I've never even heard of it. I'm like, it's literally right off of Boughton and 355. They're like, what? And it's on Lamont Road, a big chunk of it actually at the frontage. And so, no, it's a beautiful small preserve and one of my favorites. And I think it's those kind of hidden jewels that you're referring to. Is that you drive by them and you just don't even realize it's a forest preserve for you to come out and enjoy.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. Last question. I asking this thinking you are a coffee drinker.
I am.
Okay, good. What is your favorite way to brew coffee?
Uh, Favorite what kind of coffee?
Favorite way to brew, like
Oh,
your coffee pod, French press.
I steep it. I
Oh,
love
nice.
I love cold brew.
Nice.
So I brought a cold brew pitcher, or my wife did maybe. Might have been a Christmas gift. I've had it now about a year and a half, 2 years. So maybe it was Christmas time. And no, I tried to make a pitcher for myself. And a lot of times buy something like mocha at the store and I'll mix them. So I'll bring my unflavored, mix it with some mocha, and I get the nice half and half cold brew. I'm a cold brew kind of convert.
Cold
I
brew
love
guy.
it. Yeah, I love it now. I'll still have a cup. So occasionally, if I put
Yeah.
out the cold brew is my jive right now for sure.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's one thing I found to really like about coffee. You can do it so many different ways.
Oh,
And if you find a way that you enjoy, go with it.
yes, and that's the thing, right? You can have it a lot of different ways. So life's too short. Get what you like. And so no, I'm cold brew is not the cheapest, but I do enjoy it immensely. So I've switched over, and I found making my own helps me save in the pocketbook a little bit as well. So
It totally does.
yes. So.
All right, Dan. Well, that's all I got for now. I mean, the information you shared was amazing. I will definitely link the website to the Forest Preserve.
Okay.
Anything that I share this with. So again, Dan, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and explanation of everything the Forest Preserve has to offer.
No, thanks for having me. As you can tell, I love talking about it, and so proud of what we do with and for our residents. So please reach out if you ever need anything. So thanks for having me.
No, definitely. We appreciate it.
All right, take care. Have a great day.
All right, thanks.
All right, bye.